As I watch people using chainsaws on YouTube, I see a lot of them doing something that, in my opinion, is potentially very dangerous. Sometimes it's even the professionals and people who have a lot of experience who I see doing this. I don't know if they even realize they're doing it. I thought I'd make this video to bring it to people's attention so they can decide if they want to continue doing this or not. I did a YouTube short video about this over a year ago. That was a controversial video, as most chainsaw videos are. It's the way people hold on to their chainsaws, or I should say how they kind of hold on to their chainsaws. Instead of grabbing the front handle and holding onto it like they mean it, they hold it like this, instead of wrapping their hand around it so you have a good solid grip. Using this kind of a limp grip is okay when everything's going well, but what happens when you have a severe kickback? I'm not talking about the little moderate kickbacks that we commonly have. I mean a severe kickback, where this saw is trying to fly up and hit you in the head. If you don't have a real grip on the saw, your hand's gonna fly right off. Yeah, the chain brake will probably activate when you hit that, but when it comes to the difference between having a chainsaw bar and chain stuck in your forehead and not having a chainsaw bar stuck in your forehead, do you really want to depend on the chain brake will probably activate? I think it makes more sense to have a firm grip on the handle. I see a lot of YouTubers buying these big, powerful timber falling saws, 500-eyes and saws like this. A lot of them are not even professional chainsaw users. Some of them are. A lot of them are just professional YouTubers. They show these big, powerful saws on YouTube, then people go out and they buy these big, powerful saws. I'm just as guilty of this as any of them showing these saws on YouTube. But I don't think most people understand what this kind of a saw is capable of in a severe kickback. Those of us who have been running a chainsaw for any length of time have experienced little kickbacks, where it pops up a little bit. They can be scary, but most of them are manageable. In over 30 years of running chainsaws, I can only remember one time where I really had a severe kickback. It's an event I will never forget. Now, this isn't just a pop up a little bit event. This is an event where the chainsaw is flying toward your head, and if you don't have a good grip on it, it's going to hit you in the head. In my case, I had a good grip on it, and it pushed me back, almost knocked me over. That was a good thing because it pushed me out of the way of the chain. The reason it pushed me out of the way of the chain is I had a good grip on it, and that energy was able to push through my arm and push me back. If I hadn't had a good grip on it, my hand would have fell off and that chain just would have came up at me. Yes, the chain brake may have stopped the spinning chain, but by the time that happens, the bar is already in motion and it's coming up at you. Meanwhile, your arm is off, who knows where it is, while that maybe spinning or maybe not spinning chain is flying up in the air. It's not only the big powerful saws, the small ones deserve the same respect. They can kill you just as dead as a big one. On that short video I made, there were a few people who wanted to argue with me that having a good grip on your saw is a bad idea. I think there are people who just like to argue no matter what you say. Their reasoning being you want your thumb up here out of the way, you don't want it down here because when this bar kicks back, it's going to break your thumb. Someone told them you should never have your thumb wrapped around the bar like this because they knew someone who had a kickback and it broke their thumb. I think if someone gets a broken thumb from a kickback, it's because they're holding their saw in the other, even more common way I see people holding them. Although I do see a lot of them holding it like this, I see even more people holding their saw like this. In that case, I can imagine a severe kickback breaking someone's thumb, maybe severely. But if you hold it like this, not like this or some weird angle like this, but like this, that handlebar is pushing against this strong part of your hand. The handlebar is designed to comfortably fit that strongest part of your hand. But if you're like this, the energy of this bar coming back toward you can't push against that strong part. It's pushing against this open spot where it can just slip out. If your thumb's right here, all that energy is not going here, it's going on your thumb. The other argument I got is you don't want a firm grip on here because if you have a kickback, you want your hand to slide off to activate the chain brake. If you really believe the safest way to activate the chain brake is by having a hand and arm flailing about in the path of a spinning chain that's flying up at you, I don't want to argue that with you. I suggest you go talk to a real chainsaw expert. Maybe one of those chainsaw dealers who's been around forever, who really knows chainsaws in and out, how they operate, and how you're supposed to operate them. Not just some guy on YouTube or some guy who heard from some other guy who knows some other guy in some far, far away land that something happened to them. While they are explaining to you the ways a chain brake can be activated, I suggest you also have them explain to you how the shape of the handle can also deflect the bar away from your head if you have a good grip on it. That whole chainsaw bar and chain embedded in your forehead look, I don't think it's a good look. The severed arm look, I don't think that's a good look. Some of you may be able to pull that look off. For the rest of us, it's not a good look. My opinion is, I think it makes more sense to have a firm grip on your saw instead of some limp-wristed, whatever you would call this, or this, that's going to break your thumb. I'm reminded of the saying, how you do anything is how you do everything. Men, do you hold on to the lady in your life with that kind of a limp grip? No wonder the divorce rate is so high. 70% of divorces are initiated by the woman. Do you blame them? Hold on to your woman like you mean it. Hold on to your chainsaw like you mean it. If you really want to hold it like this, have at it. But for those of you who may not realize you're holding it that way, you might want to pay attention to that.